Good day, Ma'am Elenita. I'm Michael G. Fabian from BSED English 2B, and today I'll be discussing the contents of Week 5 module. First, I'll be explaining the various literary elements of children and adolescent literature. So, literary elements are the building blocks of children and adolescent literature that create story structure and contribute to its overall impact. So the various literary elements of children and adolescent literature include plot. So plot is the sequence of events that make up the story. It includes the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Then setting. So setting refers to the time, place, and cultural context in which the story takes place. It helps to create the story's atmosphere and mood, and it can impact the characters and events in the story. Then we have characters. So characters are the people or animals that populate the story. They can be protagonist, antagonist, or supporting characters. Effective use of characters can help to create an emotional connection between the reader and the story. Then we have the theme. So theme is the central message or idea that the story conveys, and it can be overt or subtle, and it is often relates to a and it often relates to a universal human experience or emotion. Then we have the point of view. So point of view refers to the perspective from which the story is told. It can be the first person, third person limited, or third person omniscient. The choice of point of view can impact the reader's understanding of the story and their emotional connection to the characters. Tone. So tone refers to the author's attitude towards the subject matter. It can be serious, humorous, or somewhere in between, and it helps to set the overall mood of the story. Symbolism. So symbolism refers to the use of objects, images, or ideas to represent something else. It can add depth and meaning to the story, and abstract. It can help to convey abstract concepts in a concrete way. Imagery. So imagery refers to the use of sensory details to create a vivid picture on the reader's mind. It helps to bring the story it helps to bring the story to life and can create a more immersive reading experience. Next, we have figurative language. So figurative language includes devices such as simile, metaphor, and personification. It helps to create a more vivid and engaging reading experience by using comparisons and other rhetorical devices. Lastly, we have style. So style refers to the author's unique voice and way of writing. It includes elements such as sentence structure, word choice, and pacing, and it helps to create a distinctive reading experience. Now I'll be explaining the various verbal elements of children and adolescent literature. So verbal elements of children and adolescent literature are the tools an author uses to convey their story through the written or spoken word. These elements include dialogue. So dialogue is the exchange of spoken words between characters in a story. It can reveal character traits, advance the plot, and provide information about the story setting. Diction. Diction is the author's choice of words. It can impact the tone of the story and help to create the story's atmosphere and mood. Then we have syntax. So syntax refers to the arrangement of words and phrases to create well-formed sentences. It can impact the pacing of the story and the reader's emotional response. Repetition. So repetition is the use of words, phrases, or ideas multiple times in a story. It can create a sense of emphasis and help to reinforce the story's themes. Then allusion. So allusion is the reference to a well-known person, place, or event in history, literature, or popular culture. It can add depth and meaning to the story and create connection with the reader. Foreshadowing. So foreshadowing is the use of clues or hints to suggest future events in the story. It can create tension and anticipation for the reader. Irony. So irony is the use of language to convey a meaning that is the opposite of its literal meaning. It can create a sense of surprise or humor for the reader. Imagery. So imagery refers to the use of sensory details to create a vivid picture in the reader's mind. It helps to bring the story to life and can create a more immersive reading experience. Figurative language. So figurative language includes devices such as simile, metaphor, and personification. It helps to create a more vivid and engaging reading experience by using comparisons and other rhetorical devices. Then we have rhetorical questions. So rhetorical questions are questions that are asked for effect and do not require an answer. They can create a sense of anticipation and engage the reader in the story. So these verbal elements are important tools that authors use to convey their story effectively and engage the reader. Number three, I'll be explaining the various visual elements of children and adolescent literature. So visual elements of children and adolescent literature are the tools an author uses to convey their story through visual means, such as illustrations or other forms of visual art. So these elements include illustrations. So illustrations are images that accompany the text or a book. They can provide a visual context for the story and help to engage younger readers. So next we have layout. So the layout of a book refers to the way the text and images are arranged on the pages. It can impact the pacing of the story and create visual interest for the reader. Typography. So typography refers to the style and design of the text. It can impact the readability of the book and create visual interest for the reader. Color. Color can be used in illustration and typography to create a specific mood or tone for the story. Bright colors can create a scene of excitement or playfulness, while darker colors can create a sense of foreboding or seriousness. We have symbolism. So symbolism refers to the use of images or objects to represent abstract ideas or concepts. It can add depth and meaning to the story and create connections with the reader. Visual metaphors. So visual metaphors are important that represent abstract ideas or concepts. They can help to convey complex ideas in a single and accessible way for young readers. Visual pacing. So visual pacing refers to the way images are arranged on the page to create a sense of movement or progression in the story. It can help to engage the reader and create a sense of anticipation. Perspective. So perspective refers to the way images are presented in relation to the story. Different perspective can create different moods and tones for the story. Art style. So art style refers to the way images are drawn or painted. different art styles can create different moods and tones for the story and engage readers in different ways. Number four, I'm going to discuss the various types of characters. So, in literature, characters are the individuals that plays a role in the story. They can be human, animal, or inanimate objects. So, characters are essential to any story as they drive the plot forward, create conflict, and help to convey the author's message to the reader. So these are the various types of characters in literature. So first, protagonist. So the protagonist is the central character of the story. They are usually the character who undergoes the most significant changes throughout the story and whose actions and decisions drive the plot forward. Antagonist. So the antagonist is the character who opposes the protagonist and creates conflict with the story. They may be they may be a villain or simply a character with opposing goals to the protagonist. Supporting characters. So supporting characters are secondary characters who help to move the plot forward and provide context for the story. They may be friends, family members, or other characters who are not as central to the plot as the protagonist and antagonist. Then we have foil. So a foil is a character who is used to highlight the characteristic of another character. They may have contrasting traits or beliefs to the protagonist, as their differences can help to emphasize the protagonist's strengths and weaknesses. Stock character. So a stock character is a character who is stereotypical or predictable. They may have traits that are commonly associated with the role, such as the absent-minded professor or the damsel in distress. Then we have round character. So a round character is a character who has a complex personality and is portrayed with depth and detail. They may have conflicting traits, motivations, or beliefs and may change throughout the story. Flat character. So a flat character is a character who is not fully developed and is portrayed with limited detail. They may only have one or two defining traits, and their purpose in the story is usually to provide context or support for the other characters. Dynamic character. So a dynamic character is a character who undergoes significant changes throughout the story. They may have a character arc where they start off with one set or with one set of beliefs or traits, but over time they change and evolve. Then we have static character. So a static character is a character who remains unchanged throughout the story. They may provide consistency or stability to the plot, but they do not undergo significant changes or development. For number five, I'll be discussing the characteristics of setting. So setting refers to the time and place where a story takes place. It can include physical location, historical time periods, social or cultural context, and weather or climate conditions. So the setting of a story is essential as it can help to create a mood or atmosphere, influence the action of the characters, and provide context for the plot. So here are some of the key characteristics of setting. First, we have time period. So the time period of a story can be historical or contemporary, and it can have a significant impact on the plot and characters. Historical time periods can create a sense of nostalgia or add a layer of complexity to the story, while contemporary settings can make the story feel more relevant and relatable. Physical location. So the physical location of a story can be a city, a rural area, a specific building, or even a fictional world. The location can affect the mood and atmosphere of the story, and it can also influence the actions of the characters. So climate and weather. The climate and weather of a story can create a specific atmosphere and affect the actions of the characters. For example, a story set during A stormy night can create a sense of tension or danger, while a story set on a sunny day can create a more cheerful and optimistic mood. Then we have social and cultural context. So the social and cultural context of a story can provide important context for the plot and characters. These can include social norms, traditions, and values that are specific to a particular culture or time period. Symbolic elements. So the setting can also include symbolic elements that represent larger themes or ideas. For example, a forest might represent the unknown or a place of transformation, while a city might represent civilization or modernity. Atmosphere and mood. So the setting can create a particular atmosphere and mood that helps convey the tone of the story. These can include a sense of mystery, danger, or even humor. Number 6, I'll be discussing three elements of plot. The three elements of plot are crucial components of storytelling that help to create a cohesive and engaging narrative. So these elements include chronological order. So chronological order refers to the order in which events occur in the story. The events are typically arranged in a linear fashion, with each event leading to the next. Chronological order is important because it allows the audience to understand the story's timeline and the sequence of events. Conflict. So conflict is the central tension in a story that creates the plot. It can be internal, or a character struggles with their own emotions or desires, and external, or the characters struggle with outside forces such as other characters, society, or nature. Conflict is what drives the story forward and creates tension and interest for the audience. Pattern of action. So this refers to the plot structure, which is the series of events that unfold over the course of the story. The pattern of action typically involves an introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. The introduction sets the stage for the story. The rising action builds tension and leads to the climax. The climax is the turning point of the story. The falling action revolves the conflict, and the resolution provides closure. Number 7, the types of point of view. So first person point of view. In first person point of view, the story is told from the perspective of a character who is involved in the events of the story. This point of view uses the pronouns I, me, and mine, and allows the reader to see the world through the character's eyes. First person point of view can create a sense of intimacy with the character, but also limits the reader's knowledge of events and other characters to what the character themselves knows. Objective point of view. So in objective point of view, the story is told without any access to the thoughts or feelings of the characters. The point of view uses only observable actions, dialogues, and descriptions to create a narrative. Objective point of view can create a sense of detachment, allowing readers to draw their own conclusions about the characters and events. Omniscient point of view. In omniscient point of view, the story is told by an all-knowing narrator who has access to the thoughts and feelings of all characters. This point of view allows the reader to see the world from multiple perspectives and understand the motivations and desires of all characters. However, it can also create a sense of distance from the characters and events. Limited omniscient point of view. In limited omniscient point of view, the story is told by a narrator who has access to the thoughts and feelings of only one character. This point of view allows the reader to understand the motivations and desires of the focal character in a more intimate way, while also limiting the reader's knowledge of events and other characters to the focal character's perspective. Number 8, the various devices of style. First, we have connotation. So connotation refers to the emotional or cultural associations that words carry beyond their literal meanings. For example, the word home might have positive connotations of comfort and safety, while the word prison might have negative connotations of confinement and punishment. Writers can use connotation to create a specific tone or mood in their writing. Imagery. So imagery refers to the use of vivid and descriptive language to create mental images in the reader's mind. Writers often use sensory details such as sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell to create a more immersive experience for the reader. Imagery can be used to create a specific tone, convey emotions, or paint a picture of a specific setting. Figurative language. So, figurative language refers to any use of language that goes beyond its literal meaning, including metaphors, similes, personification, and hyperbole. These devices are used to create a more imaginative or vivid description of something or to compare two unlike things in order to create a deeper understanding. Hyperbole. So hyperbole is a type of figurative language that uses exaggeration for effect. For example, saying I've been waiting for an eternity is a hyperbolic way of expressing impatience. Hyperbole can be used to create humor, emphasize a point, or create a sense of drama. Understatement. So, understatement is the opposite of hyperbole. It refers to the deliberate downplaying of something in order to create an ironic effect. For example, saying it's just a flesh of wound after being stabbed is an understatement way of expressing pain. Understatement can be used to create humor, create a sense of irony, or emphasize a point. Allusion. So allusion refers to a reference to something outside of the text, such as a historical event, a work of literature, or a cultural icon. Writers use allusions to create a deeper meaning or to connect to a broader cultural context. Symbol. So a symbol is an object, action, or image that represents a larger idea or concept. For example, a dove might be used as a symbol of peace. So writers use symbols to create a deeper meaning or add layers of complexity to their work. Onomatopoeia. So, onomatopoeia is the use of words that imitate the sound they describe. For example, buzz, hiss, and murmur are all examples of onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia can be used to create a more sensory or immersive experience for the reader, as well as to emphasize certain sounds or actions. Meter. So meter refers to the rhythm of the poem or other piece of writing, created through the use of stressed and unstressed syllables. Meter can be used to create a specific tone or mood in writing, as well as to create a sense of movement or momentum. Number 10, why are these elements important to children and adolescent literature? So these elements are important in children and adolescent literature because they help engage younger readers, aid comprehension and emotional connection, and have educational value by teaching important life lessons, exploring different cultures and perspectives, and introducing new ideas and concepts. So, by using these different literary elements, authors can create engaging, accessible, and emotionally impactful stories for children and adolescents. Thank you so much, ma'am, for watching.